What is up, guys? So a few things what I want to talk about today. Yesterday I had like a moment of clarity. I was cruising through town and I saw one of my old school buddies, real old school buddies, a kid that I got on heroin with years ago. And there was three of us who used to knock around. We all got on heroin around the same time, and all three of us are still alive, which is amazing. You know, most of the people who I know who I used to do drugs with are dead now. So I was going through town and I saw him, and his face was an absolute mess. He's been battered, and I think he said that they battered him twice. It was hitting him with bike chains, really messed his face up. He looked like Danny Christie, you know, after his bare knuckle fight. That's what he looked like, and it reminded me, you know, how lucky I am to be out of that life now, because I used to be him, walking around busted up because I've been robbed or taxed or wrong place, wrong time. So, you know, that's what I'm going to get into today. Some of the things what happened in the past, wrong place, wrong time. But before I start, I want to give a shout out to a kid who I saw yesterday. I can't remember his name. I think he said Jimmy. So shout out to Jimmy and his missus. He apparently watches loads of my videos. So I appreciate everybody who watches my videos. I don't really say it that much because I don't think I need to. I think people can see, you know, how much it means to me getting support on this channel. But yeah, anybody who watches my videos, and if I got your name wrong, I apologise. Let me know in the comments if I got it right. Oh yeah, I did a roast video yesterday. A guy called Murphy. I feel a bit bad today, but you know, this guy has been making videos. He calls himself the king of the roast. He's been making videos about me, calling me names, baguette eyes, and all this. Saying, oh, when you're going to roast me, you know, you can't roast me, and, you know, just goading me and tagging me in videos. So so eventually I did a roast yesterday, and then he did a video yesterday morning saying, oh, you bottled it, you know, when you're going to roast me. And somebody said in the comments, he already has, so he must have gone away, watched it, and then he's come back and done a video. He looked gutted, man. His face was white. His face was white as a ghost. And he says, well that weren't funny. and then he did a video like an hour later saying he's leaving YouTube. So the king of the roast, he's been roasted and he's left YouTube. But bear in mind, that was like a very watered down version. The first video I did, which was roasting him, I like rewatched it, you know, like I always do, just to make sure I didn't slip up or out. And I got like 5 minutes in and I thought, fuck it, I can't upload that. It was brutal. So I did a different version, which is the one I put up, and I really watered it down. So it was only a mild roast. But, well, yeah, he's left YouTube. I feel a bit gutted now. He might be back now, but he said he was leaving YouTube. And, yeah, let that be a lesson to you, you know. If you want to make a name off me, calling me names, then I will make a video back, and I will probably ruin your day, maybe even ruin your week, because roasting people, that is my kung fu, and it is strong. But yeah, I didn't want him to leave YouTube. Murphy, if you see this video, come back, mate. We don't want you to leave YouTube. It was only a roast, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I will give you a free roast. All right, you can call me whatever names you want. Baguette eyes, you know, there's plenty there. Call me a smackhead, baghead, shoplifter, you know, that he used to hide cheese under my hat, you know, something like that. I'll give you a free roast and I won't even do a reply. So yeah, shout out Murphy. Come back, mate. Because he is mildly entertaining. He's a bit mad, but he's alright. But anyway, yeah, yesterday I was cruising through town and I saw one of my old buddies, and he was an absolute mess. His face was all busted and swollen. Both his eyes were short. He had a big cut down his forehead. I said, Jesus, man, what has happened to you? And he says, I don't know exactly what happened, but he said something along the lines of, because he was saying, oh, you know so-and-so, you know so-and-so. And I don't really know any of those people. I've not been in that life for a while now. And he says something about somebody taxing someone, and he said somebody got stabbed, and apparently he was the one who passed him the knife to do the stabbing. But he says he wasn't even there. He says they just set me up. He says I wasn't even there. And I don't know what happened. I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle. But they've beat him up with a bike chain, whipped him around his head, busted all his body up, and then apparently they've got him again later on that night. And so I had a little chat with him, and you know, as I was leaving, I gave him a hug, and he was like, oh, so even all his body was busted up. And it's sad to see, because I've known this guy for years, man. There was 3 of us. We all got on heroin around the same time, and you know, we used to go out shoplifting together, and we used to go to Meadowhall, nick like 20 pairs of Levi's, and then we would go sell it all, and then we'd go off to a rave, go to the Uprising or Destruction or Donny Warehouse, and then we'd end up using after the rave, and that's how we ended up getting addicted. We moved into this lass's house, all 3 of us, down at Wellgate Flats in Conisbrough, and then at some point, you know, we all went our own different ways, and he's just like me, spent years in prison. I saw him in Walton, and he was down in the freaking basement, you know. I think he was on basic, and I was just walking around the yard, and I heard, yeah, buddy. So I was looking around like, the fuck's that? And he was down underneath the fucking yard. There was like a stairway that goes down to the dungeon part, which is the basic punishment wing, I suppose. And he's looking up like, alright. I was like, fucking hell. But yeah, that just reminded me of when I was in that lifestyle. You know, I was the guy walking around with 2 closed eyes because I've been robbed and taxed, and especially around that area of the town flats. And like I say, I lost touch with him for years, and then I saw on news he must have just got out not long ago. I think he got a big stretch for supplying drugs. He was on I say he was on the news. He was on like the local newspaper channels news. I thought, fucking hell, I've not seen him for ages. And yeah, I saw him in town yesterday, and it all come flooding back to me. So I started thinking about when I was an addict, especially in those flats. Those flats were ruthless back in the early 90s because everybody moved out. Well, in fact, no, they didn't move out. There was just not as many people. Like now, there's just migrants everywhere. Nobody speaks English anymore. There's just tons and tons of people, way too many people. And all the flats are full of all these foreigners. Whereas back then, we didn't have all this immigration, so most of the flats were empty. So people, addicts like myself, they used to go in and, you know, just like nudge the door open, and they'd still have the water on. Sometimes they'd have the electricity on, so you just move in, and a lot of junkies used to live in there. So it was crazy, you know, some crazy stuff happened there. I've spoke before about the guy who got his face done with a Stanley blade. A guy up there died right in front of us. He went over on the settee, and everybody was just doing drugs around his body. Because we didn't have phones back then. Phones weren't really a thing. So in order to phone an ambulance, you would have had to run all the way into town, find a fucking phone box, and nobody did. Nobody cared enough about him. That's the reality of addiction. I remember a kid who he's dead now, which most of my friends are, or most of my old associates. Went over right on the settee, and I was just remembering he was doing the death rattle, like they like do a weird snoring, like, and his face was pale as fuck. His lips were bright blue, and you know that image is instilled in my head. He never died. We managed to get him through. There was a lot of rumours back then, like if somebody goes over, what to do. See, I've never used needles. I always smoked it. But there was loads of different things. People say if someone goes over, chuck them in a bath of cold water, or, you know, just ruse them around and slap them about and wake them up. And, you know, nobody really knew what to do. Nowadays, there's a lot more information out there, but back then we didn't really know anything. So it was crazy around those flats. I remember me and one of my old associates, I don't like calling them mates because they all fucking nicked off me. They all robbed me. They all fucking backstabbed me, because that's what it's like in that world. But I was with one lad, and there was a guy who was a dealer, but we couldn't score off him. He only sold to like 10 different people, and if anybody else went, he'd just say, I don't know what you're on about, you know, just wouldn't answer the door. So we needed to score off him because he had the good stuff, and so we sent this kid there, this beggar, and we gave him our money. You know, he was going anyway, so he says, here, we'll go and get ours as well. And we've given him the money, he's gone in, and I said, I think he might fucking try and rob us, he might run away, he might not come back, he might, He might steal some, dip one of the bags, take some out and keep it for himself. And he says, nah, he wouldn't dare. No chance. But anyway, he's come back, he's given us the stuff, and there's fucking half of it missing. Do you know what I mean? It was tiny. And so he says straight away, he says, you fucking had half of this. He's like, I am, I swear I am. And he said, right, well, fucking, and he checked his pockets, and then he looked down in his socks, and he pulled his sock down, and a chunk of gear fell out. He says, you fucking, he grabbed a big, massive, like a wooden post, and he had him like that. He just picked it up and went, bonk. I can still hear the noise now. He made a right crunching sound, like dunk. When he fell on the floor, he was screaming, and I was with this dude, while he's doing all this. I wasn't participating in it, because, I've never been much of a fighter, and you have to understand how ill I was. I was probably weighed about 7 stone, because I was homeless, and you can't eat. I was eating probably like 2 fruit corners every 2 days or something. I'd go into a shop because I would start getting dizzy. I'm like, right now, I've got to eat some more, so I'm going to die. And I would steal a couple fruit corners and maybe a chocolate bar, and that was it. And plus you're walking all the time, trekking all over, so you're burning calories. And I ended up so fucking thin, it's unbelievable. I'd love to get some pictures of me sent back there. I don't know if you can do that from the police station. I'm going to have to go and say, can I get some photos? Because if you want to know how skinny I was, Google The Machinist movie. I was probably even skinnier than that. I was so skinny, I'd take my top off and people would like recoiling, like fucking hell. You could see every bone in my body. I was an easy target, really. But now and again I'd be with someone and they'd either attack someone or beat someone up, so then it's kind of like guilty by association. But this guy who got clumped, he was just a beggar anyway, I wasn't scared of him at all. But I was in town, right, and this, he beat him up, whacked him, he was on the floor screaming, yeah, you're hurting me and all this. And I was like, well, and I was thinking to myself, you shouldn't fucking rip people off, you prick. So he got what he deserved, and that cost him dearly, that, because every time after that, he saw the kid whose gear he'd nicked, he just got taxed every single time. There'd be times we were walking along and he'd see him, and he'd shout, yeah, get here, and take everything off him. So that one mistake cost him dearly for months afterwards. And then I saw him once in town when I was on my own. I weren't with this kid. So, he might have held me responsible because of what he did, because I was with him. And I remember I was walking along, I looked up and I seen him. But then behind him, a cop car come screeching, well, it didn't come screeching, a cop car come flying up and stopped right behind him. And I was wanted by the police. I was always wanted back then. So if ever I saw a cop car, I'm like, they're after me, I would just run away. So I'm walking along, I saw him in the distance, and right behind him, a cop car's come up behind him. I was like, shit. So I just started running away. And as I'm running down this alleyway, I look back, that kid's running behind me. I thought, oh, maybe he's wanted as well. And anyway, I've got fucking ran down the alleyway. He's got to like an open piece, and I stopped there. I was like, and he's come running up, and he's like, and I'm like, what's up with him? I was like, are you wanted as well? And he's like, yeah. And then walked off. And it's only afterwards I started thinking, I bet he thought I was running away from him, because he didn't see the cop car behind him. So he's seen me. I've looked up. I've seen this cop car. And I've run away, and he must have thought, oh, he's running away from me, so he's come chasing after me. But I wasn't even running away from him. And then when he's caught up to me, he's like, when a dog chases a cat, it catches it, you don't even know what to do. And that's why he was like, that's what. And that always tickled me, thinking back. And I had to do that, like if there was somebody legit who was after me, like I didn't care about him, I'd have done him in. But if there's someone like a proper taxman who's after me, you have to get creative with the escape routes. I remember once there was a local taxman. He was a fucking knobhead. Everybody hated him because he just used to, so many times be sat there doing drugs and he'd walk in and just fucking clump someone. I remember when he whacked this black dude. So he just came in the door, come walking in like that, and just went bang. And this kid was screaming him. I don't think he's ever been punched before, the way he was screaming. He was like, throwing his head on the floor. But that's what type of guy he was, just a real scumbag. And people like that, they always have like 2 or 3 little hangers-on, you know, who do the bidding and run around and arse lick them and just little rats they are. Little bottom feeders. A bit like JDP on YouTube. And anyway, I seen this taxman and I had a big ring. Or it was either a bracelet or a ring, I can't remember which. And I think I might have just got out of prison or something, I don't know. But I had this big ring, or maybe I just had a good score. And I had this ring on, and this taxman's come up. And I didn't realise, like, you know, I had this ring on. I didn't think, fucking hell, I better hide that. You know, like Debo in Friday. and he's come up with these 2 or 3 little rats. And one of them spotted my ring and said, oh, that's a nice ring. And then this fucking taxman, you know, he's seen it. He's like, oh, let me try it on. And I thought, if I let him try this on, then I'm not going to get it back, you know. And his little fucking rat mate, let him try it on. What are you doing, you dickhead? You know, like you do, his fucking little bitch slap and knock his head clean off. But you can't do it because he's with his taxman. So, anyway, I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? You know, I'm going to get robbed here, and there's fuck all I can do about it. And so I said to him, I said, listen, let me just get a drink and I'll let you try it on. So I've gone in this shop and it was like, it's not there anymore. It's like a Chinese shop that sells all this weird mad shit. It's where people used to buy citric acid from. I don't know why they sold it there. And citric acid is what people that inject use to break down the drugs. You know, they'll put it in a spoon, put some water, put some gear in, put some citric acid in, burn it all up, and it breaks it down and gets rid of all the crap out of it or something, I don't know. But they used to sell it there. And so I said, yeah, let me just get a drink and I'll let you try it on when I come out. So I've gone in this shop and there's fucking little weasels come up like watching me because they knew that I'd probably try and escape. So he's watching me, and there was like a front door that was open, and right at the back of the shop, the back door was open. So, you know, I could have just bolted through the back door, but there's 3 of them. You know, so they would have probably caught me. Like when you're an addict, especially when you smoke it, you've probably got like a 5-second burst of running, and then you're just on the floor, fucking having like a cardiac arrest, breathing fit. So I thought, I can't run away because they're just going to catch me. So what I did was, and I do this quite a lot. I used to do it quite a lot. I don't anymore because I don't need to. But I would go into somewhere and assess the situation and weigh up my options. Like, right, this is the situation, these are my options. And I would do it when it kind of made it fun, as sad as that sounds. If I was going to rob a place, I would say, right, I'm going to get in through here, there's a back door over there, and I would plan it all out and weigh up my options and make a decision on what I'm going to do. And that's what I did in this situation. I've gone in, the front door's open, the back door's open, so I could have either run out the back, they probably would have caught me. So what I did was I went in there and I saw this little rat, his little fucking hanger-on, watching me. And so what I did was I opened the fridge, and another little tip what I used to do if I was in town shoplifting or something, if somebody's following you, you don't want to look back, because then they know that you know they're onto you. So what you do is you use the reflections, you know, like the windows, or if there's a car there, you look at the reflection of the car and you can see where they are. So yeah, I opened the fridge and I used the reflection to see this little rat, see what he was doing. And he like looked back to the, you know, he wasn't looking for a split second. So I shut the door and I ducked down behind the freezer, and I like used the reflection of the other window to see what he was doing. And he looked back and he could see I was gone, and he started panicking. He's like, yeah, here he's gone. So they've gone fucking racing through the shop, straight through the back door, because they thought that I'd run up through the back door. And I stayed down here and I've like watched him run out, and I jumped up and just fucking just ran out the front door and made my escape. And I bet they're probably still to this day thinking, fucking hell, that guy's a magician, how did he escape that one? In fact, no, I know for a fact one of them's dead. The little rat who was a little hanger on it. He was a right nasty little prick. Couldn't fight for toffee, but you know, he was always around people that could, so you couldn't really do out to him. But he had a pretty bad death, to be honest. And if I said it now, you'd know exactly, if you were from Donny and you were in that life, you'd know exactly what I was talking about. He had a pretty tragic death. What happened in Doncaster. So maybe karma for all the fucking shitty things what he did over the years. But anyway, yeah, that's just a few little, I don't like calling them stories because I feel like Brian Cockrell, you know, I feel like I'm making shit up. Just a few little anecdotes from my time as an addict. And seeing my old buddy, it's fucking tragic, man. And it hurts your heart, you know, you feel so much pain for him. You know, seeing when we was younger, we'd be running around, Jack the lads, and to see him now all fucking busted up, fucking face an absolute mess, cuts all over his head, because he's passed a knife to someone to get stabbed, and it's like, man, I'm so lucky to be out of that life now, because that was me. And I think I've got like a little bit of that imposter syndrome, because people say to me all the time, wow, you're smashing it, you know, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you know, clean off alcohol and street drugs and all the things that you've... And it's like, you know, I don't even feel like it's an achievement. You lose track of it because it's happening to you. If you see it happening to someone else, you're like, wow, he's smashing it. But when it's you, you know, I don't feel... It's weird. But anyway, that's the video for today. 20-minute video. I'm treating you today, as JDP has said. But anyway, if you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And Murphy, come back. Bonjour.